So it's the 13th of September and I thought I would take you for an early morning stroll round the cutting patch. And here we are. After what's been a pretty miserable summer, we've had a week of sunshine and it's made the world of difference. Since I last did a garden tour, which was about this time a month ago, we'd had a few flowers but nothing particularly regular. But now everything has picked up and I've been picking flowers all of August and it's still going strong now. And even the lupins that should have finished in June have had a second flush and have I've picked those again, so this is even more. And this geum started flowering in May and is still going strong. So let's walk through the paths. It's early morning in September and everything is covered in dew, so it's all looking a bit soggy, but as soon as the sunshine hits it, it'll soon dry off and it'll be back to flowering again. So picking flowers is definitely an evening job and not a morning job for me. The Cerinthe has been fantastic this year. It's just about finished now, so it's collecting seeds for next year and for selling. We have next to it the straw flower or Helichrysum. It's not, if you look closely, because it's so damp and so covered in dew, it's not looking its best. And I think the flower's slightly open during the summer, during the day. So again, it doesn't look spectacular, but there are so many flowers and I have picked and picked and picked this. So it is definitely well worth it. Next to it we have Limonium, which I wasn't sure whether I was going to like or not, but actually it really does keep its colour well for drying and it's not too bad. Again, because of the damp, the scabiosas, which are in the next section, are not looking great. In fact, there doesn't seem to be many flower. They have literally just gone over in the last day or so, so I really need to pick those and collect their seed heads. I have had a good picking this week, so there's not much left. Here's some. And I have to say, I have really enjoyed these scabiosas this year. They have flowered really well. The only drawback I have with these is the stems really intertwine with themselves, and so picking them becomes a bit of a challenge. Next to that, I have some grasses. We had really heavy rain over the last couple of days, so this has looked great for up until probably today, and it looks as if it's been washed out. I'm hoping with a bit of sunshine today it will sort itself out and pick itself up again. It does need cutting, it is at the end. I'm going to cut it all, dry it, and again use it in dried wreaths or something over the winter. Down the side there, which you may or may not be able to see, I don't want to step over because of the grasses actually, we have got some amaranthus down there, and actually that's the best it's ever been, in amongst the weeds and the overgrown hedge, which is overdue a haircut. And I'm told it will be done sometime in September, but I don't know when. Hopefully get that tidied up very shortly. And that's pretty much all that's in that bed. This is the autumn seed sowing bed. So all of the hardy annuals that I've sown and some perennials that I'll be overwintering. So all looking really good actually. So I'm really pleased with that. These are Sweet Rocket that are self-sown and I've potted them on because I'm going to plant them elsewhere in the garden. But I thought I'd lost them because it was so hot when I dug them up. But they have sorted themselves out and we're okay. So lots of seeds, biennials, hardy annuals and some perennials over here ready to get planted out when there's space. Now the dahlias. They are looking fab. I can pick these at the moment. It is going crazy, which it always does at this time of year, so it's a picking time. In fact, I don't think I've ever had so many blooms. I can't keep up with them, especially the big heads. I mean, they're really difficult to do anything with. So my great plan is I'm going to try drying all these heads, because I just can't do anything with all of the flowers, or at least some of them, and see what dries well. And I'm also going to hand pollinate some of them to see whether I can get some of the qualities that I like in the bigger heads into some of the smaller flowers, and maybe change some of the colours a bit. Who knows? Never tried it. I thought I'd give it a go because I've got so many to choose from, and it should be fun. They are all looking gorgeous, maybe not so much with a wet covering. I only picked these at the weekend, and it's Wednesday, so in 3 days I picked everything that was flowering. So these have all flowered within the space of 3 days. Fabulous. We have the Nicotiana have gone mad. There is only, it's easier to see in a distance, but there is only about 5 plants there. And there's more than enough. 3 plants would have been more than sufficient for me. The Mallow, which has flopped, and we must have been more rain than I was thinking, because this is really flopped down. That was looking really good, and it's flopped down. Cosmos, one plant seems to have no flowers, the other one has gone crazy. Literally, it is 2 plants. That is, I can't even get it all in the picture. 2 plants, so one flowering, one isn't, but it soon will. I think it's the same, going to flower the same colour. So Cosmos are big plants. You don't need many of them in a small cutting patch. And there's a rogue Nicotiana in there, or tobacco plant, that's come through. This feverfew, I cut hard back, and look, it's just about ready to flower again. The same with the Achillea, although I didn't cut that quite so hard back. But it keeps flowering, so it's definitely next year I will be trying that more thoroughly than I have done. Look at that Rudbeckia. It's looking fabulous. I have picked the more caramelly ones at the end there, so hopefully there'll be more that'll come back. And actually I've picked quite a lot of these lovely, I think they're cherry brandy it's called, and they're looking fabulous. This side here that the Cosmos is spanning into, so I can't get down the path without getting soaked. And this was the old perennial bed. There are some plants that have self-sown, so I think these are Honesty that's self-sown, because I definitely didn't have plants there previously. As well with that leaf here is a Sweet Rocket. So I'm going to leave, I will be transplanting them somewhere, but I'm leaving them now. I thought they were too big plants to move in the heat. I'll move them when the more shadier next to that hedge. I'm going to put them there because A, it's shady, which they will tolerate, and B, they will be finished when the hedge gets bad again next year. So that's my thinking. That's where they're going to leave, and I'm hoping they will just continue year on year. Anyway, and there's a rogue lupin self-sown, so that will be going somewhere else in the garden. And this is where all of the hardy annuals will be sown or planted that I've got going. They will be in here, and probably this next bed here. This bed here was the last sown flowers, so they were sown, I think, the 1st of June. So this is them just flowering now. So we've got some zinnias who have taken a long time to get started. That's how poor a summer that we've had, but they've got going now and are starting to bush out, so we're getting a bit more. The cornflowers are looking really sad for themselves. Last year these plants were massive. I only had 3 plants last year and they covered the whole width of I'm going to say this whole bed, so 4 metres. They were the size of the cosmos. This year I really struggled with the cornflowers, not quite sure why. Another cosmos here. This one is the apricota, the on-trend apricota. Look at that, kind of a neon purple in the middle, surrounded by a peachy petals. This I am definitely going to try and save the seed from, because it blends in well and is fantastic with the dahlia colours that we've got. And then these marigolds here are different to the previous ones. So the previous ones were art shades. This is, no, I can't remember the name. I will put it up on the screen once I've remembered. But they're looking good, although I have to say there are some rogues. So this one here is similar to the art shade in my opinion, but all these apricot ones, again, brilliant colours that go with all of the tulips at this side. So I actually have got a lot of material to make some wonderful arrangements. Now, look at this beautiful rose. It's the Queen of Sweden, I think is the name. It was my first, I just planted it this year, so it's a new plant this year. So I didn't really have any flowers, so to speak, of when it was first planted, but now I have picked it. This had no flowers on it after I picked it on Friday. Look, plenty more to go. I'm loving it already, absolutely loving it already. I think I'm going to be getting rid of the black currants, which are these plants, and this is going to have more perennials. Hello, Mrs. Cow. You come to see? Now then, this is a 3 metre cutting patch. So we have a Nicotiana, as expected. That is only one plant. Look, it's taken over the whole place. The dahlia is doing well. Just one plant. Scabiosas have done really well as well. We have, this is the best area actually for the China asters. Unfortunately I didn't really stake anything, so that's not doing me any favours. But yes, so we've got a lovely apricot-y one here. one of those cows wants to let me know it's here. That's also apricot. We have a white one, maybe that's lemon yellow. It has had some snapdragons, which was flowering really well. I've picked the lot on Friday, so I'm going to see how many come back. But yes, as you can see, lots of scabious still here. So we've got the pinks, and we've got a lovely blue. Here is a dark scabious. This is a rogue plant. Don't know what that is. Blue bedder, I think it is. I planted that last year, so it must. Don't know how it's appearing there. I definitely didn't plant it this year because I didn't think it was that great. This cosmos here that we've got will also be an apricota. The problem I have with this 3 metre bed, whilst it is in the back end of the garden, it's behind the raspberries, which are doing really well at the moment. So they don't get much sun until much later in the day. And I think that is, it's a new bed, so it's settling itself in. But I think that's part of the problem. So everything has been pulled towards the light, I haven't staked it. So a whole heap of reasons why this hasn't been brilliant this year. But next year, I'm thinking sweet peas in here, so climbers in here. That's what's going to happen next year. And that's pretty much it. Let's have a final goodbye from the cows. And that is it, an early autumn view of the cutting patch. I am actually, given the year, the summer that we've had, I am really pleased with the results. And in particular, I am really pleased with this perennial bed. So I think I might have more of that, which is why I might be creating a new one, or getting rid of the blackcurrants and planting some more perennials. Hopefully you enjoyed my early morning tour, soggy early morning tour. It's a busy time of year with clearing out, planting out, potting on, growing on, sowing on, cutting. It's the most productive time, more so than spring, I feel. So lots and lots to do. But also it's a time for making plans for next year. I've covered what I'm going to do. I think how I'm going to maybe rearrange some of the beds. But what about you? Have you got any new plans for the season ahead? Let me know in the comments below to see what you've been pleased with and how you're going to change things up for next year.